After a very long waiting for the final episode to come out in English, I finished watching Season 4 of Demon Slayer, and I was ready to sit here and give my first negative review on the channel, but that last episode, got me feeling some type of way that I can't help but look back at this whole season, and I'm like, okay, man, Demon Slayer's back on top, dude. We're going to talk about the entirety of Season 4 in just a second. Before we do, though, and of course, spoilers ahead, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Guys, let's talk about Demon Slayer. So, we have a little bit of an issue, and typically, when I make these videos, I go through, step by step, the entire story. I don't want to do that for this particular season because one of the reasons that I didn't like it is because nothing really happened. And I know, like, I'm still a little bit kind of new into the anime world. I would consider this filler. I don't know if that is technically filler or not, but Tanjiro walking around, getting stronger, getting better, it's what I didn't like in Season 1. It's what really kind of made me a little bit hesitant to continue the show, because if you guys, of course, why would you know? I didn't make a video on it when I started watching Demon Slayer, but I had a hard time getting into it because Tanjiro was just training, and it was boring to me. Like, it was cool watching everything that happened with his family, but after that, I was like, But then the action happened, and more action happened, and more action happened. And there's, please, with all my heart, there is nothing against people who like more of a slow story, or like the build-up, or like watching things like Tanjiro training. It's just not my cup of tea. So when I'm speaking negatively on this, I don't mean any disrespect towards anybody who prefers this type of art, because at the end of the day, it's all subjective. We all like different things, right? It just wasn't for me. So I'm going to talk about something I liked, a big chunk of the season I didn't like, and then I'm going to be so hyped talking about the end of it, okay? The last episode, oh, it was fantastic. I had to wait for that to come out in English, by the way. I watched the whole thing. My brother, first of all, he's okay with watching it in Japanese. And for me personally, I don't like reading anything on screen. If I'm going to do that, I want to read a book. So I always watch everything in English. Plus, the dub is hype, man. My brother came to me, and he knows what I like. He knows my taste. He's been with me my whole life. And he goes, I finished a Demon Slayer season. You're not going to like it. And this is also, I've also said that Demon Slayer is a top 5 show of all time. I've loved every other season. This was fantastic. Season 3 of Demon Slayer was peak fiction. So he came to me, he's like, you're not going to like it. I'm like, how can I not like Demon Slayer, dude? That's impossible. He's like, I don't know. You're not going to like it, but it's worth it for the last episode. You'll like that. He called it completely. I was like, okay. I was watching it. Okay. So we'll start off from the beginning, okay? We figure out that the demons, of course, want to capture Nezuko, so Muzan can get the power to be resistant to the sun, and he'll be eternal forever. He'll be the most powerful demon of all time. Well, he kind of already is. And we're brought into I didn't know, actually. I have my notes on screen right here about what happened. I didn't know that the place was called the Infinity Castle, which is really cool. That whole dimension is incredible. We saw it for just a second at the beginning, and I was like, all right, they're getting right to it, because something that I loved about Season 3 was the entire thing was just one big action scene. So we get down there, I'm like, dude, this is going to be awesome. The Slayers are down there. I don't remember if it was Hashira, but yeah, they were Hashira. So they got down there, they're falling in, but they're only in there for just a little bit, right? We get a little bit of a story built and kind of what's to come, and that's what I understand about this season, and that's why I don't want to sit here and say, like, that was bad. We're preparing for it. The demons are preparing for it. I got really hyped up and then a little bit let down, because we then got brought into Tanjiro's training. And this is where a whole lot of nothing happened, in my opinion, because, and again, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the whole season was kind of like Tanjiro, like, I need to move the boulder. I can't move the boulder. The boulder, it won't move. I need to stand under this waterfall. Like, it was cringe to me, and I didn't like it. They dove a little bit more into that anime stuff that I don't like, where it's like, I don't know. I can't even describe what they do. It's like, oh man, I need to move the boulder. You know, it wasn't hype. But then the action scenes come up, and like, it's the most hype thing I've ever seen. You guys understand what I'm talking about in that sense? That was the entire season for me. A lot of the humor didn't hit for me. The training was boring. Nothing really captured me except a couple of the backstories. Like the one, for example, I don't remember the character's name off the top of my head, but with the blind dude and the girl that ran away from him, everybody ended up dying. Like, when they got into some people's backstories, I kind of liked that. But for the most part, it's like the Mist Hashira was taught to be a little bit more nicer to people. They played with paper airplanes. Like, none of it was just intriguing to me. And this is coming from somebody who legitimately thought, and not just anime shows, like I'm talking about TV and period, Demon Slayer is a top 5, potentially top 3 show of all time for me. So I was very, very disappointed. And perhaps, you know what, I had too many high expectations coming into this, okay? But then After, in my opinion, which was a whole lot of nothing, we're brought into the second last episode, okay? After all of the training, Tanjiro comes in and witnesses a sparring match between two of the Hashira, and they get into a big fight. One of them dips, but then he finds that eye that's been spying on people from one of the, is it not the Demon Slayer, the name's escaping me of what the demons are called, like the most powerful demons. But anyways, he finds the eye, he crushes it, and realizes that they've been infiltrated. And this is where I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. We're finally getting to see a nice fight scene. I love it. We saw a couple sparring scenes too. Nothing really stood out to me. Point being, and I understand this, they need to build it up, right? All of the Hashira are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And one thing important to note before this, and I didn't notice this before watching it until my brother told me, because Zenitsu, of course, I thought he was just being weird, but my brother pointed it out to me. And when I was looking up the recap for the show, because of course, like I just read what happened in each episode before I make these videos, just to have it a little bit more fresh in my mind, especially since I had to wait forever for the last episode to come in English. Zenitsu read a letter, and then he just became like the serious badass Zenitsu. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice the letter. Perhaps it's because I was a little bit detached from the show at the moment, but my brother pointed out to me, I was like, huh, okay, that's a little bit weird. So are we actually going to get the badass Zenitsu? Because I remember when Tanjiro was talking to him, and he's just like, and we know like the eyeball change when he's like, his eyes are like half open or something. And I've been very conflicted how I feel about Zenitsu, because when he is in the zone, he is one of like the most coolest characters we can see in Demon Slayer. He has some of the best moments, but then he's just the most cringe guy in the world, and I really, really hate when he's on screen. So what I'm really, really hoping for is that we actually end up seeing Zenitsu not cringe, because I want to see this big, huge battle of an ending that these movies or movie is going to be. I'm so excited for it, and I don't want to hear like, I love Nezuko, wah! You know, like, I don't want to hear that. I want to see him going, like, thunder breathing and just, like, all of a sudden saving the day with this, like, lightning yellow dash slicing some demon's head off. That's what I want to see, okay? Anyways, we're brought to the end of that episode, and this is where the hype begins, and this is where I had to wait for it to be in English, okay? So I was like, are you kidding me? I suffered through this whole season, and now we're getting a big, bad fight. We figure out that the Hashiras have been, the Hashira place or the Hashira castle or whatever, the mansion, that's what it's called, has been infiltrated. All of the Demon Slayer, all the Hashiras are going in and they're like, Master, we're running like it's the most intense thing ever. And then you have Muzan, the reveal of Muzan. I know we've seen him before. I know we've had information on Muzan, but just the footsteps and the music. And this is where Demon Slayer shines. They are so good at what they do in just presenting like the horror of some character. I was feeling it like in my chest with this dude just taking footsteps. And what I loved about it is they didn't stop. Like it was just footsteps for probably at least what felt like a couple minutes. We got the reveal of Muzan. The episode ends. I'm like, okay. I'm ready to play the next episode. Not available. Like perfect. So now, at the time of recording this video, I've watched it yesterday. Finally, I got up early. Like I had the best day ever, dude, because I'm a big MMA fan. It was a big day for MMA. I got up at like 5 in the morning. I got a good sleep the night before. Got up at 5 in the morning. Did my work on YouTube over here. Did a couple voiceovers. Sat down with my dog on the couch before my wife and baby woke up. It was still really early in the morning. It was 7 a.m. Watched that last episode. Got super hyped. I went over to my mom's for 9 a.m. We watched Bellator all day together. And then UFC had the most incredible card. UFC 306 at the Sphere. I had the best day ever. And Demon Slayer was part of that, man. So we finally get the confrontation with Muzan and the leader of the Hashira. And they have a very, very interesting conversation because, of course, Muzan was coming there to just kill the leader of the Hashira, right? And we have this really, really long talk, and the scenery of it is just so good. Like, the eerie music, just the feeling of, like, impending doom that's coming is incredible. So there's a couple things to break down here, and first being that Muzan was apparently a member of the same person's bloodline, which is a little bit strange, to be honest with you, and the family ended up being cursed as a result of Muzan's crimes as a demon. So that's what caused the illness, and this is something that Muzan, because they've never come face to face, Muzan was really, really disappointed in the leader of the Hashira. He's like, you're pathetic, and he was even like pouring his heart out a little bit, and Muzan just was unfazed. The dude is fully straight up evil. And this is actually what I really like about Demon Slayer is demons, evil. We fight against the bad guys. I think that too many movies and shows nowadays try to give like justice to why the bad guy is doing what the bad guy does. And I think this really got popularized around the Thanos era because Thanos was such a good villain. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a little bit refreshing. And who would have thought, by the way, like it's refreshing to have just a classic good versus evil storyline. The dude does not care about his suffering, does not care about his disease. He's looking at him and he's like all messed up and he's coughing up blood. Muzan just goes, "You're pathetic." Like it was, the dude is really, really cool in that sense. Like he's a well done bad guy. They also figured out that Muzan is after eternal life, but then it's explained to him that he can never outlive humanity's anger over generations and generations, and the Hashira will get angry even if you kill me there. You will have to fight against the rage and determination of the Hashira on another level. Muzan still doesn't care. He's confident he'll find Nezuko. He's confident he'll take on anybody, anywhere, anytime. Muzan then finally gets ready to finally murder Kaguya. And Kaguya then, which we didn't know at the second, sacrificed himself. And what was written down actually was most of the family. And I hope that's not a spoiler. Maybe it's just not confirmed because even Muzan was like, he had a wife and children. I never considered him to be the bait. He sent an explosion to the mansion, but in this process, like you get into all of the Hashira and like what their leader means to them. And it's like them just running and the urgency that's there. And that's so good at what Demon Slayer did, man, is building up this big bad villain the entire time. He's finally there, killed their leader. The master's in trouble. All of the Hashira are rushing. Like I felt that in my core, dude. I felt that in my core. That's what Demon Slayer is so good at. All of them ready for battle, running as fast as they can. The crow going, the mansion's under attack. The mansion's under attack. And it was just so cool seeing all of the Hashira after all of this coming together. And I gotta say, Tanjiro is on another level, dude. Every single season, Tanjiro manages to get me more invested in him. The voice actor for him is phenomenal. And just, you can tell the rage within Tanjiro because he's such a nice guy. And when he snaps, that's the best thing that he does because he's so forgiving. He's so compassionate to the people that he kills. And now he's reached a point where he's just done with Muzan. He's had enough suffering. And now Muzan's going after his Nezuko, which is the primary reason for him becoming a Demon Slayer. He wants to turn Nezuko back into a human. So he's ready to just destroy this guy. He is done with the demons. And like in last season, I love when Tanjiro snapped, where he's like, how dare you play the victim? I'm going to murder. Like Tanjiro turned into a really, really insanely cool character. And in the beginning, I was kind of like, I always liked him, don't get me wrong, but I thought he was a little bit too compassionate for evil. That's what I really thought about him. But then again, he's a good person. So everybody's running. They see this giant explosion. Obviously, the leader of the Hashira is dead, but then it's left with Muzan impaled. I don't remember how they explained it or what exactly it was, but it was something that just like went into the demon's blood. He absorbed them, and then it's just making everything worse. And Muzan's just stuck there, like he's on a cross. And then all of a sudden, the other lady shows up. Excuse me, I'm so bad with anime names. The other girl shows up and injects him with that thing that turns demons into humans. And of course, like he'll be able to fight against him. But the point is, they're weakening Muzan. If you can't decapitate Muzan, because one of the Hashira came in right away, tried to decapitate him, it was revealed that the only way to beat Muzan is to have a battle through the night and carry him out into the sunlight and let him perish there, because that's Muzan's one weakness. That's why he's going against Nezuko. I'm ready to see the most crazy thing that I've ever seen. And we saw a little bit of a battle, which I liked. We weren't just teased and denied the whole time. I liked that we saw a little bit of the battle. Muzan still fighting back, even with him just like this, like stuck. He's using his blood demon art, and even the other demon shows up. Like, it was so well done. The climax seemed to be happening. And then all of the Hashira get there. It's this really cool moment. They're all teaming up. I'm like sitting there like, of course I'm not animated in watching this show, but I'm like feeling it. I'm like right there with them. Tanjiro makes eye contact with Muzan, and it's like, that's him. And you see it. Like you can feel how tense it is with the two of them looking at each other. With all of the Hashira there, with the leader of the Hashira, nothing felt like when Muzan and Tanjiro locked eyes. That was the coolest part, man. And then all of a sudden you hear the bang sound from that other demon. All of them get put into the Infinity Castle. All of them are falling, which obviously won't be their deaths, but all of them are falling, and we're getting ready for the most badass thing that I will probably ever see in fiction. The final movie or movies. I don't know if it's multiple movies. I don't know if it's one movie, but the final arc for Demon Slayer is finally coming. The battle with Muzan. Everybody's falling. Zenitsu's in the zone. We're brought to each and every single Hashira. Everybody on the mountain, all of the Demon Slayer. And you can see that the boar head guy is all excited to go fight. He puts on the mask. He goes down like... This is what Demon Slayer does so well. Like, it brings the hype level like nothing I've ever watched. And I know that they're going to deliver on this battle. That's what I love about this. So... we're brought with the final part of the season. Tanjiro falling, and Muzan is still stuck up there. He's still paralyzed. So I would imagine they have to go through all of the other demons to get to Muzan, bring him to the surface. So if I do assume Muzan's going to be stuck for the majority of the night, but I'm sure eventually he's going to get free, and then we're going to see like the most cool battle ever. Tanjiro is falling as deep as you can go in the Infinity Castle, and he's like, Muzan, you're done. Like, he has a really, really cool monologue, and they're locking eyes. Muzan's like, all right, you're all going to perish here. And it's like setting up for the biggest, baddest final battle. So hyped for it. What I hope happens, I'm going to make a prediction video, by the way. And this is somebody who doesn't know anything about the manga. I'm sorry, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I don't know anything about what's going to happen, but I want to make a prediction video for what's going to happen. I hope, to summarize it, I hope that Tanjiro has to go through the rest of those really big bad demons in order to get through them. I don't want to see the Hashira have their one-on-one with different demons. I want Tanjiro to go through them, or Tanjiro to have to team up with each single one of the Hashiras. I think that would be cool. And what I want for the ending is for Tanjiro, the boar-headed guy, and Zenitsu to all fight against Muzan. Muzan takes the other two down, and Tanjiro finishes him himself. It's crazy that Nezuko's not part of this, but I'm sure that the demons are going to find Nezuko, and I'm sure that Nezuko is going to be dropped into this at some point. But, man, it's going to be insane. Another thing that I really want to see is I want Tanjiro to get revenge on that demon that killed the Fire Hashira and ran off into the forest or whatever it was from that one movie, the Train Arc. I am so excited to watch this, and I'm so happy that I only have to wait until the end of the year. Not like what we're doing with things like The Boys right now. Have to wait a couple of years. Like, what's going on with this, by the way, with movies? It's taking like years and years to release. Demon Slayer is doing everything right. I was so upset watching, and so disappointed, or let down, excuse me, watching the whole season, but that last episode just left me with the perfect taste in my mouth, guys. I cannot wait to watch Demon Slayer, and I ask, if you do know what's going to happen, please do not spoil it down below, because this is one of the best things that I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't wait to watch it. Let me know what you think about, or what you thought about Season 4 down below. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. In the meantime, if you want to continue watching the channel, why don't you check out my favorite season of Demon Slayer, and nothing but a positive review up here. Demon Slayer Season 3, guys. I would love to have you over there, or in the next video. Take care, everybody.